what is going on, Windy City Sports Talk fans? It's your boys, Brandon Combs and Ryan Fitzgibbons. Fitzy, man, I've been setting fires all over the place.
Yeah, what the hell is wrong with you?
I don't know.
The first democracy and set up in 1700 years, and you dare want freedom of speech. How dare you, sir?
It's one of those things. Well, we're going to get into all of this stuff just so you guys know ahead of time. We're going to get into everything. We're going to get into the Harris Butker stuff. We're going to get into him. We're going to get into the speech, all of that stuff. We're going to get into every single bit of it. He couldn't help himself. Every single bit of it we're going to get into. We're going to talk about the Bears schedule release. I happen to think they're going to do really well. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk some Cubs and we'll talk some Sox as well. We'll get into everything as we should. But first, Shanna says, quit setting dumpster fires. I mean, look, all I did was make a post about an idiot kicker.
You shared a post.
About who was it who called him their drunk idiot kicker? Was that Peyton Manning? The drunk idiot kicker. I didn't know. When he was talking about Pat McAfee, when Pat McAfee got liquored up and said some stuff about the team when they were going to the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, but at any rate, Butker gets invited to go to this commencement speech for a school where he's not even the alma mater of. He gets invited by the dean of the school to give a commencement speech. Now, this is a private college. This is a private, Christian university. So he, as a his religion and all that stuff combined, he talks with I don't know how he knows the dean or what the relationship is, but he gets persuaded to do it. And he actually had told them no at first. And he says that in his speech. I actually told him no at first, and then he kind of, gave me the whole thing. So I listened to the speech. I'm listening to everything. And I didn't even listen because I would have never listened to the speech in a million damn years. And even if I had heard it, I would listen to the first 3 seconds of it and I would have turned it off anyway. But because of all of the backlash that this guy was getting, I listened to the whole 20-minute speech. And in there, look, he says some stuff that I don't agree with. He says some things in there where I understand what he's talking about. But it's not something that I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, yeah. No, yeah, right on. Yeah.
Look, rah.
He says some stuff. And look, he does it, to be honest with you, listening to it. My mom's a devout Catholic. Like,
so I
know where he's coming from. I know what he's talking about. I know what he's saying. I know their views on certain things. I understand that side of it. And throughout the whole speech, that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about anything I heard anti-Semitic and anti-gay and all of this stuff.
I don't.
He's talking about Christian beliefs, and he's talking about his wife and his interaction with his wife, in which he got emotional while he was talking about her at that. He's talking about how without her to guide his head to not make football, a bigger distraction than what it needs to be when it comes to being at home and being a father to his kids. He says that she's the one that keeps me in line. She keeps me in check. And all he says is that she is more devoted to being a mother and being a wife than she is to being anything in her occupation. There's nothing wrong. He's not saying anything. And I know, we had this whole thing on Facebook. I got a friend of mine who happens to be gay, and his name is Chuck. And he came on the Facebook post and he said some things. And look, I'm the type of person, I don't care what your political beliefs are. I don't care what your religious beliefs are. I don't care what any affiliate. If you and me are friends, I respect your opinion no matter what that opinion is. I might not agree with your opinion, but I respect you for having it because everybody is entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
Just same way I don't sit there and I don't agree with all of the stuff that we've seen over the last, however many years with the defund the police or the Black Lives Matter and this and that. Kneeling or sitting during the national anthem. I don't agree with all that stuff, but you know what?
No.
I fought for people's rights to do so if they choose to do so. Same way that I fought for people having First Amendment rights. Same way that I fought for people to have the freedom of speech and to express themselves. It's all a part of it.
Yeah.
So for me to sit there and damn a guy for talking about his Christian beliefs and his Catholic beliefs, I mean, it's just one of those things where I'm just like, get a grip. This is just another place where people are like, oh, let's condemn somebody for nothing. We cancel culture. Let's go and cancel this guy because he talked about his Christian beliefs and he said that his wife cares more about being a mother and a wife, and he's trying to push that on people. But it's okay for us to sit there and have, transgendered people come into classrooms and talk to children about being transgendered. It's okay for us to do that, but we don't want to push them on other values because it doesn't support our beliefs. If it doesn't support your beliefs and you don't want to stand by it, then don't stand by it. Don't stand by it. Do whatever you got to do. There's a lot of things I don't stand by. But I understand and I respect everybody's right to have their own opinion and have their own beliefs.
The Chiefs head of diversity, equity, and inclusion, which that whole system is a dumpster fire. Even the people who came up with it, which was a few people from Harvard, are saying that DEI does not work in these corporations, and they're starting to pull them from some corporations. He comes in and says, Megan TV says being a mom is the best thing I've ever done. I liked it. The speech, I'm guessing, is she saying he picked a fight with me? I don't know what she means there. Was she
always gets into fights on our stuff?
Like in a bar or something. But anyway, he said, no, we don't agree with him. We have an inclusive culture here. Why is it always the people that say we're inclusive? They're the ones that don't want to be inclusive.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the very ones that don't want to include certain opinions. This is how it is in a free country. This is how we became, I know it's cheesy, the shining city on a hill. This is why we were the first democracy, like I said, in 1800 years.
Yeah.
Number one, now there's 194. There's a reason for that, because we accept speech like this. He wasn't going up there, waving a freaking swastika. Like, it wasn't even that bad. Like I said, it was pretty tame. And what and the thing that everybody's up in arms about a women, some of you may go, this is what he says when he's talking about the ladies in the audience. Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. Which I mean, look, I'm sure women are just as excited about their careers. They don't have to have kids. I don't even think he said that. He does say that, like, yeah, some of you are probably excited about your career, but you're also probably excited about having kids, which I think I'm never going to say, even if this podcast blows up and this is my job, which is one of my dreams. I'm still going to be happier that I'm a father than the fucking podcast.
That's what I'm saying. For me to sit there and say, oh yeah, one of the coolest thing I ever did was get my college degree and to follow my dreams and everything that I'm doing right now, man. I just booked my first gig working an MMA event this weekend, man.
All right,
I'm gonna go wide, and I'm going to be inside the arena. I'm going to be setting things up. I'm going to be talking with fighters, interviewing, doing all this stuff that I want to do.
You're just copying Joe Rogan
still
now.
am happier.
You're just copying Joe Rogan now.
I am still nowhere near as happy as I am to be a father. Mm-hmm. My kids are still my greatest accomplishment.
Absolutely.
Now, they might drive me nuts sometimes. I might want to strangle a couple of the older ones from time to time, but they are still my greatest accomplishment. And for me to sit there and act like that's not it is not one of those things. And one of the things that Chuck said was, most of the country agrees with me. Well, Nick Johnson's comment right here, it actually, begs to differ with you, because Butker being the number one jersey seller this week should tell you everything is going to be just fine. Just this week's guys to be mad at before the next one comes along.
And if you don't like people's views, I hate when people say opinions, because opinions is whether you like the color blue or orange. When you don't like people's views or the reasons why they have those views, let them speak, because then they're going to give you a long enough rope to hang them with.
Right.
People say the best disinfectant is the light of day. So shine a light on them and they will look dumb, because he did say a lot of dumb stuff.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with. You know what I mean? Like, look, I believe in God. I believe in God. I don't believe in religion. Religion is man-made. Religion is and the religions themselves have changed. I remember going to church when I was younger and all the things that you'd say. I went to church when my grandmother died for the first time in years. In years, I hadn't been there, and I went to a church for the service. And the way that they say the prayers and the way that they answer, it's completely different. They changed everything. And I'm like, wait, if you're telling me that your religion is the best religion out there and it's the religion that Jesus Christ created, how are you changing it? So it just goes to show you that it's about what they believe. It's their beliefs. It's the same thing with Chuck. And this is, look, I love Chuck to death, guys. So don't, I know a lot of you guys, are arguing with him on Facebook. He really is a great dude, man. Like I've met this guy plenty of times. I've played softball with this guy. I've enjoyed numerous conversations. He is a very smart person. And I don't wish any ill will. I respect his opinion too. Some of the things that he's saying, I highly disagree with. Actually, all the things he's saying right now, I highly disagree with, but it doesn't mean that I respect him any less for saying it. The same way I don't respect Butker any less for saying what he believes, because those are his beliefs. These are Chuck's beliefs. These are any of these things that we say are our beliefs, and whatever those happen to be. And I don't want to get too far off of not talking about sports, but this is a big subject right now inside of sports, because it happens to be an athlete that said these things. It's your beliefs are that they're your beliefs. Same thing with politics, man. Same thing with politics. Another thing that Chuck went off about on another post that I made when I said all the candidates suck, and by me saying all the candidates suck somehow meant I'm a Trump supporter.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I know, literally, it means just that. They all suck. Every single one of them. Trump sucks. Biden sucks. They all suck.
Doubting Thomas says this is like watching Fox News.
Negative, sir. Fox News will never give you this honesty.
Have to stomp all over a party. We're having too much fun for him.
Yeah, he does. He probably had to go get in the bath anyway with Jeremiah.
Yeah, I just want to go do one more line of his, one that I thought was really bad. Benedictine, that's the college, has gone from just another liberal arts school with nothing to set it apart to a thriving beacon of light, and a reminder to us all that when you embrace tradition, success, worldly and spiritual will follow. Well, first of all, that line is un-American.
And it's stupid.
We buck tradition. And most of the people that don't do traditional things, they become successful, like Albert Einstein.
Yes.
Or on and on. Richard Pryor, George Carlin, who we both love. You can go on and on. Elon Musk.
Motherfucker, I have three ex-wives and I have 6 kids by 4 different fucking women. Look at all the success I'm enjoying right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the least traditional person in the world, and I'm enjoying success.
And he does come off as a guy. Who's one of these people like, this is un-American. This isn't America. This isn't America anymore. We're not. Well, if you look at our forefathers and you read some of the stuff they wrote, none of them were for organized religion. That's how this country was founded, by people fleeing religious persecution. None of them were for none of our forefathers were for organized religion. So that's kind of where he's steering the conversation. That's where I thought he was a dope. He also had a lot of dopier things, but go on.
It's all stupid. I mean, you look at guys, people are talking about Butker. right? Let's put the Butker speech next to all of the times that we've listened to Reverend Al Sharpton talk. All the times we've listened to that idiot Jesse Jackson talk.
Yeah.
Let's put all of those conversations next to Butker's and let's see who sounds worse. Because I guarantee you, Butker's is on the bottom of the list of all of these speeches over the course of however many years. You could take whoever speeches you want. You want to throw Trump's speeches in there. You want to throw Biden's speeches in there. You want to throw freaking anybody's speeches in there. Go ahead and throw them in there. And I guarantee you that this one, once you start listening to them, falls to the bottom of the list unless you're one of those people, like, and this is where I will tell Chuck, this is where he starts to lie, and I've told him this in the Facebook post, is that you just want everybody to agree with your side of things, and if they don't agree with your side of things, they are wrong and they are anti what you believe. Like,
exactly,
it's not possible for me to believe that when you say something, you're an idiot, but you have the right to say it.
Yeah. We include everybody that agrees with us.
Yes.
Doubting Thomas says Caleb Williams is greater than Benjamin Franklin. How dare you, sir? He's on the $100 bill. He invented electricity.
No, bring it back. Caleb Williams is greater than Benjamin Franklin. Okay, listen. Stupid shit that you have the right to say.
Airtime. Don't give him any more airtime.
Jeremiah Murray, Justin Fields is not less than Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr, yeah.
See, stupid shit that you have the right to say.
Aaron Burr, that murderer.
Ryan Wright, liberals are terrorists. Stupid shit that you have the right to say.
Yeah.
Which I might kind of agree with. Jeremiah Burr was accurate. Oh my God.
Wow.
Anyway. Look, you have one of the issues that we have in our country, one of the things that you have to start being able to do is being able to listen to all sides of an argument. Realize that not all arguments even have somebody who is right and somebody is wrong. Sometimes arguments have two people that are fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do.
A lot.
Yes. Sometimes you have two people who are right in their own way. But if you listen to both sides, you might be able to understand both sides. You might be able to listen to somebody and be like, look, I don't like what you said, but I respect you for saying it because you had the balls to say it.
Yeah, I'd have to say, I can give an example of myself. Like when Trump was elected and just all the fanfare around Trump, I didn't get it. And I didn't get people who liked him. I really didn't. But as the years have passed and I started to understand, I understand why they elect Trump. I understand why they're going to vote for him again. And even though I disagree with them, I understand them. And I actually agree with them on a lot of different policy points. If that
wasn't read your brother's comments,
it's stupid shit to say. Watch the show. That's just my view, though. I think
if that wasn't the case, you wouldn't have a show.
I think it took him the first 18 minutes of the show to come up with that, but.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, it's hard.
A red shot for it.
It's hard to type when you have to find the letters one by one, and then you have to stop. You have to stop halfway through a word and ask your wife how to spell it and if you use punctuation correctly.
And not to keep bringing up Chuck, but he also said that it's hate speech. It's not hate speech.
No.
There's no incitement to violence.
No.
And another thing, like. Also, why do I care? I care more about the backlash and people wanting him to lose his job than I do about the actual speech. I mean, the thousands of things that are problems in this country, like the 2 proxy wars we're fighting, or the fact that our healthcare industry and our educational industry is trash. Our pharmaceutical industry is trying to get us on pills for the rest of our lives.
And our government is a joke.
And our government is bought and paid for by those same corporations I just mentioned. And
yes.
We're worried about Harrison Butker saying that his wife is happy to be a housewife. Like, who gives a fuck? My mother was a housewife for the first 10 years of my life, and she was a great mom.
And not to mention, the owner's wife of the Kansas City Chiefs came out and doubled down on what he said. Doubled down on it. We've had other people double down on it. Like there are plenty of women who have come out and said, yeah, I mean, what's wrong with what he said? He's right. I do prefer to be a mom over being anything else in this world. And there's nothing wrong with that. John Fitzgibbon saying RFK 2024.
Oh yeah.
I'm in.
RFK Jr. There's your alternative.
Jeremiah Murray, this culture has forgotten how to disagree. It's part of the reason I don't align with anyone. The left is crazy, the right is crazy, and the rest of us in the middle are the only normal. Amen to that.
Yeah, they want us fighting. They want us fighting over this and other trivial things like this.
They don't want you to have your own. I wish I was a housewife. Like, for real, that's where it's at. Wine and vacuum cleaners. I'm down. What's going on, Ryan? Right. But no, it's one of those things where I'm just like, it's you have to be able to think for yourself. And that's half of the problem, is that when you are Democrat or you are Republican or you are liberal or you are this or you are that it doesn't matter what the other guy says. You're going to just take your side because he's your guy and he's your side and he's blue or he's red or whatever the hell it is, and you just run with it. And it's like, no, like listen to what you're saying right now. Like, stop and listen to yourself. Read it back to yourself, and if it still makes sense, okay.
Religion, politics, and social issues are not a team game.
No,
they aren't. That's what I hate about it. And that's probably the worst thing the sports culture has brought us, because I think it does leach over. And we've talked about this before, into politics, where it's like, yeah, I'm a Bears fan and I'm a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter, or I'm a Democrat. Like, no, look at the policies. That's why they don't even have to have, they almost weren't going to have a debate. Biden and Trump. That's why they don't have to. And they don't have to talk about policies, because they know that they got you on their team. So they don't have to talk about policies. They just have to be flashy and say flashy stuff like,
well, not only that, but
with abortion, I'm against it, whatever.
Let's be honest. One side doesn't want to have a debate because their guy can't speak. Just say, I mean, look, facts are facts, man. Facts are facts. Look, don't get me wrong. Don't label me a Trump supporter. I hate that motherfucker too. I'm not a Biden guy either.
Like, whatever. Did you watch the State of the Union? Whatever they gave him on the State of the Union speech, people are actually saying that they should both take a drug test before the debate.
Wouldn't you think at this point, with all I have AI videos popping up on my feed about LeBron James calling out his teammates, telling them how much they suck and how they wouldn't be good if it wasn't for him, and it's all AI stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you think the government would be smart enough just to make an AI video with him, so at least it makes him sound somewhat coherent?
Yeah, isn't there like 100,000 people in the executive branch now working for the executive branch, or something crazy number like that? It's insane. There, I just heard the other day there's like 12 million people working in the federal government. That's scary.
Yeah,
there's only 380 million people in this country. Anyway, I don't know where my train of thought was going there, but yeah, the executive branch can come together and do something with AI, real time with Windy City Sports Talk, the Bill Maher show. And Bill Maher had a good point that the people who are against Harrison Butker's speech, so against there being housewives, are for Gaza and Hamas. Bill Maher said. So, Hamas forces women to be housewives. You can't even marry a guy without your father or one of your, maybe an older male okaying the marriage decision.
Not only that, but go to Hamas and let them know you're gay.
Exactly. Have fun with that. Yeah, gays for Hamas.
And that's the thing that people don't want to take that into account. They don't want that to be a part of the argument. They don't want logic to be inflicted into an argument like that. And that's the part that gets me. And look, again, I don't want to go off because it's not like I don't have. I'm the furthest thing. If you look, if perfect was here, if this was perfection, I'm like way down below the floor and I can't even reach.
You're a mess.
Like it's so definitely don't take advice from me when it comes to being a human being, but logic Just be logical. Listen to other people's opinions. Listen to other people's thoughts and ideas and all the things. And listen to both sides of the fence before forming an opinion on anything that you do. For the love of God.
Yeah, it's because they're on their team. They could be gay because they're on that side. It's kind of like a Cubs fan not admitting that they should have got another starter or a closer in the offseason. I wonder who I'd be talking about.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Anyway.
You are and always have been penis cancer in human form.
All right, I'm having a beer.
All right. Let's talk some sports, shall we?
Let's go.
We're only 26 minutes into the show.
Yes, what happened to the time?
I don't know. We did a whole lot of weird stuff.
Mr. Blutarski. 0.0.
That's what I thought the chances were we'd be talking about the Chiefs kicker.
Yes.
For the first
Absolutely.
6 minutes of the show, if you asked me a week and a half ago.
110%. Look, the Cubs and the White Sox, let's go there before we talk Bears, because we can go Bears all day long.
Yeah.
The Cubs, rough weekend, 3-4, or dropped 3 out of 4 to the Pirates.
Where's the Jolly Roger?
Yeah. Bite
Sorry.
me. Okay. Go lose another game. Anyway, the Cubs have been facing a lot of injuries, man. A lot of injuries. They went 2 weeks without Cody Bellinger and Seiya Suzuki. Then those guys get healthy, and all of a sudden Dansby Swanson goes down. Now Nico Horner's down. Your middle infield right now is Miles Mastrobuoni and Nick Madrigal, and I want to stab myself in the dick every single day. Just like stab myself right in the tip of the dick. That's all I want to do is just stab myself.
Oh,
and it's so brutally bad right now. There's only so much you can have a guy play that is supposed to be a backup and probably shouldn't even be at that when you're talking about guys like Miles Mastrobuoni and Nick Madrigal. When you have those guys playing every day, they're going to get exposed. They might give you a good at bat here or there. They might be able to, pinch run or come in as a defensive replacement, but that's what they are. And when you have them playing inning after inning, day after day after day, they're going to get exposed for what they are, which is not players that should be on major league rosters. Rumor was that Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner were coming back tomorrow. However, the Cubs did call up their young phenom shortstop out of AAA, Luisito Vasquez.
Ooh.
And so that begs the question, A, are they both really coming back? And B, if they are both coming back, who are you DFAing? Because one of those other two guys is going down.
I mean, Miles Mastrobuoni.
He's been terrible.
125. His slugging percentage, 150.
He was decent defensively. I will say that. He's been okay defensively. He hasn't had an error over at shortstop, which is the opposite of what you could say about Dansby Swanson before he got hurt. Mm-hmm. So he's been good defensively. He's just not hitting. But you knew that coming in. He wasn't a good hit. He wasn't a good hitter before. Nick Madrigal. Every time he comes up, we were taking bets the other day while we were working the Dogs game. So prior to the Dogs game, the Cubs were on, and we're sitting there, we're watching the game, and we were taking bets on whether or not Nick Madrigal struck out or grounded into a double play when he came up to bat. Not one person took the bet that he would get a hit.
Yeah, it's been bad. Whew. It's been bad. When you're a contact hitter, you're not making contact.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's really tough. And when you're filling in for guys who are the heart and soul of the offense, that makes it even tougher. And Nico Horner being the leadoff hitter, Nico Horner being the on base guy, the guy that can hit for average. It's really tough for the Chicago Cubs. And I'll tell you this, for all the grief that I've given Craig Counsell so far with bringing Nick Madrigal in the 7th inning, being a defensive replacement, giving him at bats when he doesn't need it. I will say, to have this team with the 16 stints on the IL already, 16, that leads the league in IL stints. And if it's true, and if Nico Horner had a setback and he's going to the IL now, that's why they called up Vasquez. If that's true, now it's going to be 17 guys that have hit the IL, because they haven't put Nico on the IL. They were just having him sit and try to work out the hamstring issue.
White Sox 2022.
But you still have this team 4 games over 500, despite all the injuries and despite having one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball.
Ugh.
So I will give him the kudos on that. He's done a tremendous job of getting this team to play winning baseball despite all of the things that have gone wrong. It also, shows the depth that the Cubs have.
Yeah, no, and yeah, they played good ball, and they got when the sun was shining, they made hay. They were able to get some of those wins earlier in the season. This is not a division that's going to run away from you, so you can bide your time, just stick around 500 until the guys come back. Maybe you get a trade at the deadline. I think you'll do fine. I don't think the Brewers are a great team. And I don't think there's really anybody else in this division. I mean, are you going to give me the Pirates for real? No, I don't think they are. I don't think the Pirates are ready. Cincinnati definitely isn't. And St. Louis, hot garbage. Have you seen Lance Lynn pitch? It's so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, they got a bunch of old men for their starting rotation there. Yeah, I mean, you have to feel a little bit better about what the Cubs did in the offseason when you had St. Louis running those guys up there with their starting rotation. And, they can hit, but other than that, that team's weak. I think you definitely have it. You still have a very good shot at this division. You just can't have a lot more major injuries.
No,
5 and 6 weeks. If it's just a couple weeks, I think they'll be okay. I would have liked to have an extra, either one more at bat, or almost definitely I would have liked to have a proven. He didn't even have to be a closer, setup guy for this pen before the season started. It didn't happen. But like you said, they're still in the hunt in this division. I didn't see how far they are back, but
they're two games back.
Yeah, 2 games back.
Yeah,
fucking weekend they could be back.
Yeah, it's not gonna, like you said, it's not gonna run away from you. The Brewers are one of those teams that's come out of the gate hot, but they're not gonna keep it up. They're just not that. They're not that good. And they've played a really weak first month and a half of the schedule. So, take care of business when you play Milwaukee. You got Atlanta coming in tomorrow. Luckily for the Cubs, Ronaldo Lopez and not Dylan Cease, the other White Sox pitcher who used to be really good, that they traded to Boston, was his name? Chris Sale.
Chris Sale.
Ronaldo Lopez and Chris Sale pitched today in the doubleheader that Atlanta had. So not only do you have them coming off a doubleheader, but you got their top 2 pitchers out of the way. So that helps, take advantage of it, see what you can do. Hopefully you get Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner back. Hopefully the rumors aren't true that one of those 2 had a setback. And that's why they called it Vasquez. Hopefully it's more of a, hey, we need better depth than than Nick Madrigal and Miles Mastrobuoni. I mean, that's what I hope. Have you seen speaking of which, could we talk Cubs? Have you seen the Cardinals' new City Connect jerseys?
No, I have not. I have a feeling you're
Okay.
going to show me that. What?
They took St. Louis off of the bat and they put the Lou and then put an STL on. So there's no arch, which is a huge, gross,
iconic,
misuse of the City Connect jersey. And this was, I saw a comment. I can't even take I can't even take credit for this comment, but somebody said it looks like somebody's, said, oh, you know what we do? We take St. Louis down, we put the Lou on there, and then we put the STL in block lettering on the hat. And there you go. Boom, you're good to go. See, told you I could do this after a 999 challenge.
That's like me doing maybe the hot wing challenge and an edible on top of that, Shanna. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then coming up with that is bad. I don't know what's going on with that organization.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that could have done it better. I could have done it, and I hate the fucking Cardinals, but I could have done a better job with those jerseys, designing them. I mean, it's just so many missed opportunities that they had. Not including the arch, to me, is probably the grossest oversight. Like, even with the STL, what if you put the arch behind the STL? It probably makes it even a cooler looking hat, right?
Yeah,
like something. It was just a gross miss oversight by again, Fanatics, just doing a terrible job with these uniforms, and Nike. I don't get it.
The Lou.
That's what they call St. Louis. Nelly started that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, Nelly hasn't been relevant for 20 years, so.
Well, neither have the Cardinals. So. Jeremiah Murray says they made it pretty clear they're not ready to contend for a pennant, so they're not giving up those top prospects. See, I disagree. I disagree. The fact that you are 4 games over 500, decimated with injuries, and with one of the worst bullpens in the league shows that you are ready to contend to at least make a run at a pennant. And if you shore up those things and you get healthy, you could be one of the best teams in the league. What do you mean? If they don't, they've got
one of
5.
The best teams
they've
in the
got
National
5
league that has Atlanta, the Dodgers, and the Phillies in it.
Yes, and right now, if you take
well behind those 3 teams for me, well behind.
None of those teams, and you saw it last year. What happened when Philly was dealing with injury? They didn't have Bryce Harper for the first half of the year. Were they the best team in the National League? No, not until he got healthy, and when he came back, right?
Yeah, your boy fired.
Being healthy gets you there, and that's a big concern for the Cubs right now. They haven't been healthy all damn year, and not to mention, on top of not being healthy all damn year, you've blown 5 saves. You've had out of your 21 losses, 14 of them have come in the 7th inning or later when you've had a lead or been tied. That's really bad, man.
The Phillies or the Dodgers. I just don't put them even
take
in the
half
same
of those
category.
14 losses and you swing them the other way. Take half of them because you're not injured or you don't have that.
They lost the games. The games were played.
I understand that.
Their run differential isn't like crazy. I think it's 8. I think they're +8 right now in run differential. It's not like they're running away with things, or I mean, they weren't fantastic when they had a healthy team.
They are averaging 4.5 runs per game, and they have 5 starters with ERAs under 2.
Yeah, I get that. I still do not put them. I still don't think they have the lineup when healthy, and I don't think they don't.
Their run differential is so bad because of the bullpen.
They still don't have a closer. We're not even through May yet. I don't want to be
but that's why
started ERAs in May.
And that's why I brought this up, is because his next comment was that you're not going to trade prospects to get pitching with a team like this. You absolutely do trade prospects to get pitching with a team like this.
I think you have to.
That's where I disagree with him, is that this team, if they get a bullpen and then they get healthy, can be a team that contends for a pennant. They can make a run at it. Sure, they could beat. You're going to tell me right now that you would say absolutely positively not. The Cubs couldn't beat, let's say, Atlanta or San Diego in a 5-game series.
Anybody can win. It's baseball. I know that, but
anybody can win in any sport. So you look at the NBA. You got the Western Conference Finals, and you have the 3 seed versus a 5 seed.
I'm not betting on the Cubs over Atlanta, the Dodgers, or Phillies. There is no way I'm putting money down on the Cubs.
I'm not betting on it, but when you go into,
that's what I'm saying.
I understand, but when you go into that series, are you saying that their chances on winning one of those series is less than 10%? Probably not, right? It's probably closer to 30 or 40%. You would say
I'd have to think about that.
Imanaga going in game 1, pitching if he's still pitching the way that you know what I mean.
Imanaga, then how many starts has he had? 8, 9 starts.
9.
I need to see more than 9 starts out of Imanaga for me to make a decision on the guy. I'm not going to say right now
You're
that
a Sox
he's great.
fan.
We're in April and May. We're in April and May. I mean, April and May. I mean, starting pitching always does great in those months. Well, not always, but
and he's admitted that too, though.
Well, in those months, I need to see how he is in August. I need to see how he through August. If he still has numbers like this, which he won't, by the way, if he still has numbers near this, though, then we're talking. I need to see more out of him. There's still some question marks in that starting rotation. I mean, Assad has not won a Cy Young. Justin Steele has not been himself since he came back. He's not throwing like the Cy Young. Well, I don't know what he was in the Cy Young last year. I don't think he was the runner-up, but he was pretty close. He hasn't pitched like that yet this year. So I need to see more. I need to see more consistency out of this team. If I do, and they trade for a closer at the deadline, I mean, I'd have to see where those other 3 teams I keep mentioning are. But for right now, and also when guys got hurt, they didn't have guys coming up that were that good. We just talked about Miles Mastrobuoni and Nick Madrigal. I need a 40-man roster. I need a 40-man roster where you do have guys coming in who, are utility players. And after a while, the league is going to somewhat dominate them. But I need utility players coming in who could play the game, who aren't batting 125.
What have you seen from Assad so far that tells you you're not sold on him? I mean, he's third in the league in ERA.
Yes, right now. He's how many years?
But that's all you can base him on. You just said you don't base it on. You can only base it on what's there. You don't get those games back. How come
that? Are you arguing? Is this guy been a starter for 5 years? And he been on All-Star? Has he been in an All-Star game? No, he hasn't.
How come your argument when I say if the bullpen was a little bit better, they would have won more games, and you're like, no, you don't get those games back. They've already lost those games. All right, so they don't get the games back that they've been great in either. They've been great so far. You have to base them off of what they're doing right now.
Great, but in baseball history, I do not extrapolate out 40 or 50 games into a season. I don't do that. I have to see more out of guys who have not proven it at the major league level. And the month and a half is not proving it at the major league level to me. I need to see more.
Javier Assad pitched the entire season last year.
Same thing about Sox pitchers, by the way. Eric Fetty's been good. Didn't pitch well against Toronto today, but he's been good. He's got a 3.10 ERA. He has not proven to me that he can pitch in this league yet, because he got whacked around for 4 or 5 years with the Nationals. 1 year in Korea and a month and a half in the major leagues is not going to say he's good. Same for Garrett Crochet. They look like they could have promising careers moving forward, but I need to see more. I need to see the league correct to them and see what happens when they do correct to them. I need to see a guy in Imanaga who pitched to contact in July in Wrigley Field. That's what I need to see. And I don't
Javier Assad has been in the league since 2022. He had a 3.11 ERA his first season. He had a 3.05 ERA last year.
Yeah, he was out of the bullpen for most of his career.
Yes,
so far.
But because they were grooming him to be the starter.
He hasn't been a successful starter yet. Not even for one full season. And I'm not going to trust the guy that can do that until he does it.
So you just throw out the other 195 innings of major league
proven talent on those other 3 teams I named: Atlanta, the Phillies, and the Dodgers. There is more proven talent, and you know it, on those teams that have been doing it. Guys who have been doing it for years and doing it well for years. I just need to see it out of these guys. If I do,
I'll give you.
I'm right or wrong.
I'll give you on Atlanta and on Philly.
A sample size of 45 to 50 games is not enough in baseball. It's not.
I'll give you on Atlanta and on Philly. But when you're talking about the Dodgers have a lot of unproven talent too. Yamamoto.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani sucks.
He's not even pitching. I'm talking about pitching, you asshole. You're crazy. You just don't want the Cubs to be good because you're a Sox fan and you're living in misery.
The Dodgers starting rotation does have some holes in it, and that could be that could be one of their weak points. I'll give you that. I'll give you ground there, but they do have a lot of proven talent out there.
How's that done for them in the years past?
It hasn't worked.
First round exit. World
Series.
Yeah, in 2020, the year that everybody who never won one could win one, including the Lakers with LeBron. Oh, we won in a bubble. Let's raise a banner.
You don't like LeBron James.
We won the in-season tournament. Let's raise a banner. Great. What'd you do? First round exit, dick. Anyway, White Sox lost again to Toronto. Eric Fetty took his first loss, gave up 5 runs. His first real bad outing of the season. So, not gonna give him a lot of grief for that. And then the game really got away from them in like the 7th or 8th with the bullpen, where they gave up 4 more runs, end up losing 9-3. But it was 5-3 when Fetty exited the game. Relatively close game, kept him within striking distance.
They don't
tough
play
weekend
well
in New York, but you expected a tough weekend in New York, right? You didn't expect them to leave with a win out of New York, did you?
Well, they should have won that first game. They had guys on base all day. They ran themselves out of innings. They had, they had first and second with nobody out 3 times and didn't get 1 run out of that. There's still that offense is still trouble. I mean, I don't know when you bring up Colson Montgomery, but now is a good time. He's hitting the crap out of the ball in the minors.
Yeah,
he had a tough start to the year, but now he's hitting the crap out of the ball. He's in AAA now. He just had his first home run in AAA. Had a few doubles, had a triple the other day. I mean, I don't know when you bring him up and then Luis Robert comes back and maybe the offense is slightly below average instead of being one of the worst offensive teams in baseball history. This was a bad outing. Fetty had another outing where he didn't pitch. I forget which team it was off of, but he just had some bad luck in that game. It wasn't exactly a bad outing. I mean, this is a different caliber of teams in that AL East. I mean, you could say what you want about the Indians. They had a great start to the season, but they're not the Yankees. They're not the Orioles. I don't even know if they're the Blue Jays at this point. It's been tough. I mean, it looked like they were going to play some good ball for a little while, and they lose 5 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, they have been playing better ball. I mean, they were on a roll. I believe they were 8-7 in a 15 game stretch at one point. But it's just, look, the White Sox are what they are. They can get streaky. They can win some games that they're not supposed to win, but they're going to lose a lot of games this year. I mean, I think that remains one of the constants. Is they're going to compete for worst record in Major League Baseball. And that's just the reality of the South Side right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could possibly be a little bit better in like August and September, because I think Drew Thorpe should be pitching here. I think I watched Mike Soroka pitch 2 or 3 more starts than he should have. When you're not striking people out and you're getting hit, you got to be out really quickly. You can't be starting games anymore. You can't do both of those things.
Right.
It's usually one or the other for a pitcher, and he didn't have an out pitch. Feel sorry for the guy because it looks like injuries is going to get him out of the major leagues, which always sucks to see. Seemed like a good kid, but yeah. How about Butker having 5th best odds for defensive rookie of the year? What is this baseball we were talking about?
He wants to go. Doubting Thomas says, before we get to Caleb Williams MVP, NHL and NBA title picks, please. I'm gonna surprise some people. Look, NHL it's so tough to call just because I just think Dallas is really good. I'm gonna pick the Stars to win the cup. They're playing really, really good hockey right now. but Florida too. I mean, they got Bobrovsky. He could stand on his head at any point, but I don't know if they get past the Rangers, who are really, really good. Hockey's so tough to call. But if you put a gun to my head and I had to pick, I'm going with the Stars. And NBA, I said it after the first round. I'm riding with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I really think that they have a chance to win it all. I think that they can knock off the Boston Celtics. I think they match up well with the Boston Celtics. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
The NBA playoffs has been great this year.
It's been really good, yeah.
Enough of it, but it's been really great.
You haven't watched any of it?
No, I haven't watched a lot of it. But did I say any? Whatever. It's Monday and it's getting late. Anyway, but you know, a lot that I have watched has just been great basketball, and the Timberwolves are a lot of fun to watch. But I have to go with the Celtics. And the NBA have watched less of the NHL.
Anthony Edwards,
but I will go with you with the Stars. They seem to be pretty dominating. I mean, I just don't want to see the Florida Panthers.
The Dallas Stars play really good hockey. They play well-rounded on both sides of the ice. Goaltending's really, really good. I watched a lot of that series in the last round with them, and they're just one of those teams that I know they went to 7, but they're just one of those teams that's they're tough to pick against. They lost a game in that series where they gave up, or actually that one didn't go to 7. I'm sorry. That one, I think they ended in 5. And the one that they lost was because they gave up a 3-goal lead in the third period. They had a hiccup in the third period. So for me personally, I just think that Dallas just looks too good.
Is Anthony Edwards the best player in the NBA now? That's what I've been thinking about. Is there's no Michael Jordan, meaning you had Michael Jordan, then you had Kobe, then you had LeBron. There's really no person who's okay. This is the best. And
I think Edwards is on his way to that.
Yeah, it's possible.
I'm not saying he's as good as Kobe or LeBron or Jordan or any by any stretch of the
clear
imagination.
Best player in the league, but in the NBA, it's been that way since 85.
He has that desire to win. He has that swagger that Jordan and Kobe had. He has that killer instinct when he drives the lane, where he has no regard for human life. So yeah, I think that Anthony Edwards can be that next Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant type.
What's your beef with LeBron?
What's my beef with LeBron?
Yeah. Because you're like, he has that swagger like Kobe.
Because LeBron doesn't have that. So LeBron doesn't have that.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
LeBron doesn't care about winning championships. LeBron cares about getting paid, and LeBron cares about LeBron. No, he doesn't. He's proven it time and time again. They asked him during the first round series in which they were losing. They asked him how it makes him feel, and he said, "At the end of the day, this is just basketball." Jordan would have never said that.
No, he wouldn't have. No, he would not have. Neither would Kobe.
Jordan would have choked out the reporter for asking it.
Neither would Kobe. Yeah, they would have been surly. Kobe even more so.
Yes.
Was like that for sure. But that's kind of like a sport line. Like, yeah, I'm going to get my.
But like Anthony Edwards leaves after losing in Game 5. In to the Denver Nuggets, just getting beat down by the Denver Nuggets in 3 straight games after taking a 2-0 lead to fall down 3-2, and tells all of the people working in the locker room, "Hey, I'll see your asses back here for Game 7." And then goes out and does it, and they win by 45 points. Like, it wasn't even close. Game 6 wasn't. And then they're getting hammered in Denver, and Anthony Edwards has a terrible first half. And then they come back and they win. Anthony Edwards picks it up. They come back and they beat them. And
that was a good game.
That's what champions do. I really think Minnesota can win it all. I think they're going to beat Dallas probably in 6, maybe 7. And I think that Minnesota can absolutely beat Boston.
Yeah. I don't know. Boston's pretty tough, man.
I know. Dude, Boston's really good, man. The Pacers are losing in 5, maybe 6, but the Pacers might be good enough to get 2, but that's all they're getting.
You have to hand it to that Boston organization, man. They're never down long.
No,
they're always relevant.
Yeah.
Pretty much always relevant.
Speaking of getting asses whooped, are you ready for Fitz gibberish?
All right, you heard the music. It's a diatribe, it's a conspiracy theory, and it's an island in the middle of unapologetic and sometimes inaccurate sports talk. But I thought we did pretty good today, Combsy. We forgot a couple names.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I gotta pee. I'll be back.
He's probably playing. He's gonna go take a pee. But you got me here for the next 5-10 minutes. I went to a golf outing this past Saturday. Yeah, with my daddy. It was a good time. And for me, I golfed okay. I think there's a video somewhere that Combs has of me chunking the ball a few times. Here is, and I wanted to show this, here is the drive from Lincoln Hoax Golf Club back to my house. It says 12 minutes. As you can see on Google Maps, thank you, Google Maps. I made it back to the house after the golf outing in 8 minutes. Yes, I beat the computer. I think it said 13 minutes on Saturday anyway. Now, I do own a Honda Accord. It is a sport, but it's still a Honda. I think
it's an Accord.
It is an Accord. But I made it back, and you might have missed it, but I made it back. I beat the computer by 4 or 5 minutes back to the house. I think it's safe to say I almost committed patricide while I was driving. I could have killed my dad in 2 different ways, vehicularly or by giving him a damn cardiac arrest. Sorry, John and Meg, for listening. Why did I do this, you might ask?
Alcohol.
Part of it. Not a lot. We were golfing, kind of, if you call it that.
A lot.
because the heavyweight championship of the world was on. I'm old enough to remember when that meant something, you kids. We drove while the fight was happening, and we didn't want to miss a punch. While the pugilistic art has not caught on the same way as it did with my generation, which I'll never totally understand. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that it's not on HBO anymore. I do believe HBO had the best sports broadcast in the history of the U.S.
They just don't have fighters that are relevant anymore.
And that's probably part of it. But back to the fight, which Tyson Fury lost fair and square in a fight that was pretty even, except for one of the most bizarre knockdowns you'll ever see. We talked about this before the show. The referee jumped in right before Fury went down in a decision by the referee that can only have helped the former champ. That's some bizarre shit. Although that does not totally tell the story why I had to drive that fast home to watch the fight in the middle of the goddamn day. When I was a kid, why did I just yell anyway? When I was a kid, fights came on at 10 or 11 p.m. at night, mostly. Yes, the fight started around 5:30 p.m. That's the main event. I think it all kicked off. The card kicked off at around 2. Central, that's Central. U.S. time, because it was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I'm okay with them having a fight there maybe once every couple of years, but this is happening all too common now. I have a little bone to pick with Saudi Arabia. Here are some of their laws, and we talked a little bit about this. Here are some of the laws that are against women in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, God.
Require women to get a male guardian's permission to marry, like I just said a few minutes ago. Make fathers the default guardians of their children. Implicitly discourage women from getting divorced or remarrying. Make it difficult for divorced mothers to travel with their children, relocate overseas, or remarry. Give men a much larger share of the assets than women, which contributes to economic discrimination. Daddy gets the credit card.
I'm moving to Saudi Arabia.
Yes. If they're seen talking to any man that isn't their husband or a blood relative, that is seen as adultery.
Death penalty.
I don't think you throw rocks at them. I don't know. So basically, they are treated like minors, like kids. Also, Saudi Arabia controls OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Right now, you may ask what this organization is doing, and I'll tell you. Well, first, they limit oil production by 1 million barrels a day to keep oil prices high. Yeah, it wasn't Biden's fault. So please stop with the bumper stickers and the memes. When countries like the U.S., who's pumping more oil now per day than we have in decades, decided to pump even more to drive prices down, OPEC produced even less to keep prices up. Oh, yeah. And I guess I forgot to mention 15 out of the 19 hijackers on 9/11 were, you guessed it, Saudi Arabian. When golfers bent to the money that the kings of Saudi Arabia shelled out for live golf or whatever the fuck it's called, I figured it made sense because golfers are pansies and I should know. I was just on a course with some of them. But boxing, even though that it is an international sport, was popularized here. The Boxing Commission resides in the U.S. Look, I like money. I like what it gives me. My wife and son are comfortable. I just swam in a pool today and ate coconut shrimp, for Christ's sake. It's almost the size of my fist. But money does not equal God, so let's... Money does not equal God, so let's stop worshiping it. Every single string of a storyline I pull in this country is another company or person trying to poison me with food or water or the air and bankrupt me with the cure. Unless the cure gets me high. Because in that case, pass the gummies. Combs. That's Fitz.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you wanted me to pass you gummies. I was like, we're not in the same room.
You do have gummies, though. I've seen them.
Oh, I do. Oh, what the hell just happened?
I don't know.
Stupid StreamYard. Well, while you're doing that, Jeremiah Murray says, I remember huddling around the Fitz living room TV to watch the Holyfield Tyson fight. The undercard was mostly the Fitzes fighting.
Wow.
Shanna Stiso Trust says, I would have been stoned to death a long time ago if I lived in Saudi Arabia.
Yes. I mean, I don't know you well, Shanna, but just from what I've heard now.
She said, it's my day off and I can't play disc golf and lay in the sun. I got to play disc golf and lay in the sun. Sorry, I can't ship you gummies either. What the hell? What's that got to do with you? Like you can't stop on the way to disc golf? You can't stop at the post office?
There's probably there isn't a post office.
That's some bullshit. Doubting
Thomas obviously has to disagree with me because he's got nothing better to do. His favorite hobby,
Doubting Thomas
from Game of Thrones, is his freaking moniker.
It was a TKO. How the hell did you have it?
It wasn't a TKO. No, he didn't get knocked out. He didn't get officially knocked out. No, he lost at the end. He lost. Oh,
I thought I saw something that said it was a TKO.
No, he lost in a split decision.
Oh, okay. The clips I saw was him getting his ass kicked all the way around the ring.
Doubting Thomas, go watch dragons butt fuck their fucking sister on Game of Thrones. 114 to 113. He got fucking. He didn't get knocked completely out. But he did have a standing eight count. And he did not do that to Usyk. He lost the fight fair and square. Watch the fight.
I just don't think Doubting Thomas knows how to count. That's the problem.
Probably
overnight UPS would be optional. There you go. Get us the good stuff. None of that weak shit.
Yeah.
From anyway,
Tennessee, huh?
Yeah, look, I don't. When it comes to boxing, here's the problem with boxing: is that MMA has taken over the fight scene. People want MMA. There's less. I want to say collusion. I still believe there's still some collusion in UFC, but I believe there's a lot less collusion than there is in boxing. I believe boxing lost its way with a lot of gambling stuff, and a lot of fighters taking dives, and not to mention now. I mean, look, to be honest with you, other than guys like Tyson Fury, Canelo Alvarez, those types of guys, I can't name you another boxer. I can't tell you who's going to come and take the title from Canelo Alvarez. I can't tell you who's going to be the next Canelo Alvarez. Like back in the day when I could tell you, we were sitting there and you're watching Tyson fight and you're watching Spinks and you're watching all these guys come up through the ranks. You're like, oh, this is the next guy. This is the next guy. And all of those times, here now in boxing, it's terrible.
That's
They
why I
do a
mentioned
terrible job of
HBO.
promoting.
It seemed
Yeah.
more cohesive when HBO was around because they had to have boxing after dark. So you'd see these young guys coming up. And Terrence Crawford, I hope, ends up fighting Canelo Alvarez. Although he's smaller, I think he can beef up to his level and give him a fight.
Yeah.
He's been great for years. If you saw him, you know who I'm talking about. But Jeremiah says he was about to go through the ropes. Yeah, that's possible, but the referee isn't supposed to jump in. And yes, crazy stuff like that happens where like the referee's trying to get him to win a fight. I don't know what the referee was doing, but you're right. It doesn't seem like there's 4 belts for almost every weight class.
Yeah. Jeremiah Murray wants to know if you ever think you'd miss Don King.
No, I didn't. And maybe I do now because that kind of
He was a great promoter.
He put on a show. At least he put on a show.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no like cohesive unit. Like you have Dana White at the end. I know there's other MMA organizations, but obviously UFC dominates it. And you have Dana White at the center of it, like kind of guiding it. You don't really have that. And the boxing commission sometimes makes decisions that's idiotic. You have a lot of fights that end up where the one guy kicks the crap out of the guy and there's a decision against him.
Yeah.
Pacquiao Bradley fight. We're talking 10, 15 years ago. Pacquiao won every round and ended up losing the fight on the cards. It's like, what is going on there? And people have seen way too much of that. They have to be, the boxing commission has to be stronger. They have to have a broadcast that works. It's really hard to broadcast fights for whatever reason. You have to have all the little nuts and bolts right. I mean, even Joe Rogan talks about it. It took him years to get it right for the UFC.
Yeah, it did.
You have to have
when it started, it was just it was like a once every 6-month event, and it was like an all-day thing. Like it was the Ultimate Fighting Championship, which you went in, you fought a fight, you went back to the locker room while 2 other guys fought, and then you came back out to fight the winner. Like, I mean, it was crazy, and there were no gloves, there was nothing. They had to evolve into what they've become. And it was crazy back then.
And the broadcast itself, I mean, I think Showtime does okay. I think this was it was another broadcast. I forget which one it was on Saturday, but they didn't really have a lot of what they used to call CompuBox numbers, which is just taking the boxing match not from ringside, because judges have to be at ringside because they can see the power of the punches, but just taking it from the TV and all the little TV angles that they have. They didn't show a lot of those numbers.
ESPN used to have boxing on the weekends, and even now what they've done since they've gotten in bed with UFC is they still have boxing on Saturday nights, but it doesn't start till after the UFC pay-per-view has ended.
Yeah, and it's who's going to watch that?
Yeah, nobody's staying up to watch that. On the East Coast, it's already 1 a.m. Here, in Central Time, it's already after midnight. You're not watching boxing at that point.
No.
And if you have it on the TV, you're just walking around. Yeah, you're drunk. You're walking around talking. You're not paying attention.
And Jeremiah says boxing after dark was great. Yeah, it was. It was really great because you could see these upcoming fighters. Maybe they're 10-0, but that guy looks good. And then them. You follow their career. Even Canelo Alvarez. I remember when he was 20 years old. I think he fought on one of the Pacquiao or Mayweather undercards. And I remember when I remember it because I'm like, a redheaded Mexican? What the fuck?
Yeah,
it's a little weird, but. Anyway, it was, but you are right. Even me, who's a fan of boxing, can't name many boxers as I could before. I mean, I knew boxers in almost every weight class back in the day. I mean,
is Don King still alive? Can we get him back?
I don't know.
He's got to be like in his 90s, right?
At this point, I think he murdered someone too.
No,
I think he was convicted of murder.
Get out of here. Don King's in prison?
He's not in prison, but he did.
Wait, he murdered somebody and got away with it? Oh.
Yeah. I think he went to jail for it. charged with killing 2 people in innocence. King has been charged with killing 2 people in incidents 13 years apart. In 1954, King shot a man in the back after spotting him trying to rob one of the gambling houses. In 1957, King was convicted of we need a Don King movie. Get
Don
on it,
King,
Jeremiah.
Don King 30 for 30.
Yes. You can't do that in 30 minutes. I think he's still alive. Born 1931. Doesn't say when his death was.
Don King, or I'm sorry, 30 for 30 is our like inflation. They're now hour and a half to 2 hours long.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
You can do a 2-segment 30 for 30 on Don King. Absolutely. I'd watch. He was a great promoter, man. Say what you want about Don King and all the things that he went through. He was a fantastic promoter.
He was. He's 93.
Before we get into football, I want to ask you a football question. How do you feel about Tom Brady saying that he wouldn't do the roast over again because of how it affected his kids?
Grow up.
Stop being a pussy.
Yeah, like grow up.
Why are your kids watching the roast anyway?
Yeah, if you didn't, you don't have them watch it. I'm guessing they're older now.
I'm guessing Giselle showed them. Look at what Daddy's doing.
Yeah, look at what Daddy did, and then he talked shit about Mom. I mean, you're gonna have to deal with that. That's why. Your dad and mom have hundreds of millions of dollars, so you're going to have to deal with the spotlight a little bit. You're going to have to deal with people cutting you down a little bit, but you're also taking a private jet to Paris next week or wherever the fuck.
And I think he was fine with the jokes.
Tyson Fury
I don't think he couldn't deal with the jokes. I just think he felt bad afterwards, like almost as if he didn't think about what kind of effect it would have on the kids hearing these jokes, because they have TikTok and they have all these other platforms where they can find out what the jokes are that were said, or even kids in school saying, hey, did you hear blah blah blah. You're going to have that, and it just sounded like he didn't hear about it. The one that I had the most problem with was the ex of Aaron Hernandez, who said, I can't believe we live in a world where my kids are going to have to hear these jokes about their father. Well, what about the fact that they're going to have to hear about their father being a fucking murderer? We're worried about the jokes. You're not worried about the fact that he killed people?
Yeah. What about the family members of the people he killed? How do you think they feel?
Yeah. And did you forever once think about how his boyfriend in prison felt?
These people in this country are so self-centered. I think this episode has a theme, and it's not a good one.
Nobody takes into account his cellmate, the guy that was dicking him down in prison, and how he feels about these jokes.
What?
You got to take into account. You got to take account of everybody's feelings. Remember?
Yeah.
Anyway, the Bears' schedule got really.
Haven't figured out why the jiu-jitsu instructor is sleeping over a lot.
Yes. My favorite part of that whole thing was, I forget who said it. It might have been what's her face? She's so good. Nikki Glazer, when she was like, awesome, you try giving me advice, but then I realized that you gave your wife some advice, and honey, why don't you take up jiu-jitsu was not the soundest of advice you could give her.
Yeah.
I was dying. But anyway, so the Bears schedule has been released. The whole NFL schedule has been released, but the Bears have a new schedule. We already knew who their opponents were going to be this year. We just didn't know what order. What did you think about the Bears schedule?
I like, for a couple of reasons, I like it.
Okay.
It's really soft in the beginning of the season. Like I said, I think they can go 7-2 in the first 9 games. I don't see.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be. They don't have to be the best team ever to go 7-2 here. Even if they're mediocre, they could go 7-2. I also like when the bye is. What is that? After the 7th week, they've had late buys the last couple of years, and it's tough. That's tough. I like having the bye right after week 7. I think, it's week 7, and then having the week off there. Then and before you play the Jaguars, which I think is a winnable game. I still don't think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I actually thought Justin Fields played better than him last year. And then you have the Commanders right after the bye. which is pretty nice. And then the Cardinals, who I don't think they're going to be good, but maybe
I don't think they're going to be good either.
Plays well, but yeah, that's what I like probably the most about it, because you get some confidence going.
Yeah.
Good things.
I think this is a 12-5 team. I think this is a team that can win the division. With this schedule, look, the Texans, I gave that a loss. I think that it's going to be a competitive game. I think that the Bears defense is every bit as good as the Texans defense. And if the Bears offense is half of what it's supposed to be, it should be able to compete with the Texans offense as well. If Caleb Williams is half of what he's supposed to be, he should be able to be every bit as good as CJ Stroud in that game and keep the Bears relevant in that. I give it a loss because it's in Houston, Sunday night game, first primetime game for the kid. So I gave that one a loss. Colts, I also kind of gave it might be a 1-2 start to the season before they start rolling. It's in Indianapolis. I really like that Colts team. They're really good.
And Anthony Richardson.
I do. Yeah. And it's in Indy. So that's one of the ones I'm on the fence of. I think it could go either way. But if the Bears pull it out, great. But then Rams, they're better than the Rams, who lost Aaron Donald. That defense is not going to be what it was. You're getting older and older with the offense there. It's not Cooper Kupp's not what he used to be. Half of their offense has no identity. It didn't have an identity last year either. The Panthers are the Panthers. The Jaguars, you should beat them, even though that game's in London, before you go on the bye week. And then to come back against Washington, Arizona, and the Patriots. I think those are 3 wins right there before you get into 6 of your final 8 being divisional games. I think you split with the Packers. I think you sweep the Vikings. I think you split with the Lions. You probably lose to the Niners. And then the Seahawks is going to be an interesting one. It's at Soldier Field. Could be a loss, but I think you should win that game. So I really do think 12-5 is an attainable goal for this Bears team.
I think the Seahawks take a step back. I also think the Lions take a step back this year.
I do too. I think 10 wins, 10-7.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I just think it's gonna. I just don't. I really don't have a lot of faith in Jared Goff. I don't care about he's gotten so much better. And
Dan Campbell scares me too. Right? Especially when you're playing games against teams like the Buccaneers. They've got to play the Cowboys. Also on their schedule is also the Texans, the Buffalo Bills, the 49ers. Like they play a really tough schedule in Detroit. So they could be a tough. These aren't layups. Titans and Colts are going to be tough. Yeah, see, I think the Colts are going to be tough too. I don't think the Titans are that good. I really don't. They lost Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry in Baltimore now.
Yep.
That'll
be interesting.
Yeah, I'm still not. They don't. I mean, I could go either way. Like I really am high on their quarterback there. What the hell's his name?
Levis.
I'm really high on Levis, but I think that a new coaching staff, everything that they have there, it's going to be interesting to see what you have. I just don't think that team's ready to be good just yet.
I think the same with the Colts. That I do with the Titans. They might be good at one point, but I don't think this is the year. But I mean,
Anthony Richardson's going to be healthy. He wasn't healthy last year. What were they last year? They finished second in the AFC South, right? Didn't they?
I'll look it up, but I just don't know who.
They got Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr. They drafted Josh Downs, or not Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell. They've got Josh Downs. Like I think that this team,
they were tied for second. The Jaguars were 9-8, so were they.
Yeah. And I like their defense, man. Kwity Paye is one of those guys who's, I think he could be one of the better defensive ends in the game. DeForest Buckner, they've got a squad. I like.
Shanna says Titans will be crap this year.
I agree. I don't think that they're going to be great at all.
I just don't think. I mean, yeah, maybe and it's the NFL. Teams can all of a sudden be great. I mean, look what the Texans did.
Yeah, I see it. Jeremiah, I highly disagree.
10 is about the high point. Let's not do this again.
Look, and here's why. Like, look at it's because of who they play, the fourth place schedule of who they play. And if you're going to be better than what you were last year, you should absolutely be a 12-win team, because that was a 10-win team last year that only won 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, at least a 9 or 10-win game with those 3 just heartbreakers they lost. And yeah, I mean, if you want to improve, they win 9 or 10 games. Like, that's really not an improvement for me.
No,
on
me neither.
the team, it isn't.
And where do you where are your 7 losses? So if you say, I mean, are they getting swept by Green Bay again? Because if that's the case, I'm angry.
Yeah.
Are they getting swept by the Lions? Which I don't see. They never get swept by the Lions. They always play well versus the Lions, no matter how good the Lions are. And then where are you giving them their 7 losses? Are the Titans, the Texans, the Colts, the Panthers, the Rams, the Jaguars, the Commander. You're telling me the Commanders, Cardinals, Patriots, and Panthers aren't 4 straight wins right there? 5 straight wins?
Yeah, I mean, what's a failure to you?
A failure to me is anything less than 10.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
If they're 10-7, I'm like, but okay. All right, maybe you're a wild card team at 10-7. 11-5, I'm okay, because 12-6 could turn into 11-5, because I always say you win one that you shouldn't win and you lose one that you shouldn't lose. So either way, I'm like 12-6, 11-5. I'm happy. 10-7, I'm like, okay, maybe we sneak in and we had some growing pains and we had some things go on, but you have to be better than what you were last year. And look, you have to beat Green Bay. I don't care if you're 15-2. If you're 2 losses under Green Bay, I'm pissed.
And you can't
beat this damn team.
Contracts. You can't waste a rookie year for Dunze and for Williams. You can't. I know they have a while, but you can't waste another DJ Moore year. Keenan Allen only has 1 year on his contract. Cole Kmet, I think, still has 3 years, but still you're wasting years. These guys are either coming off of rookie contracts, then you'll waste a Darnell Wright year. You'll waste a Montez Sweat year. I just think they have to win this year. They have to be in contention this year. I mean, and
Doubting Thomas says Caleb Williams is greater than Socrates. Going back to, you can say dumb shit, and it's okay. I respect it.
And Jeremiah says it's still a rookie QB. I get it, but this is the number 1 pick in the draft. And he's not just the number 1 pick in the draft. He was the number 1 pick in the draft for the last 2 years. Show me now. Show me. No, Jeremiah. You, for the last year and a half, you're backing Caleb Williams. You're arguing with Combs on Facebook, and I think it was in the morning, whatever time it was, about Caleb Williams this, Caleb Williams that. Well, where is he now? Now he's a rookie QB. Okay.
And that was the thing that we said about Caleb Williams. If you're going to go Caleb Williams over Justin Fields, I don't want to hear that it's a rookie quarterback, because you're telling me he is better. So if he is better, then he needs to be better. And this team, minus the 3 collapses in the fourth quarter by the defense, was a 10-win team. Let's say 9-win team even. So you should be better. Not to mention you got Roma Dunze. You went out and you got Gerald Everett, another tight end. You got a team now that could go 5 wide. You upgraded at the running back position.
Yeah.
You did all of the things right. You got better on the offensive line. You went out and you supposedly got yourself a center. You did all the things you needed to do, and you drafted great. This needs to be that they should be a 12-win team, and I do fully expect in the next 2 to 3 years that they are a 1 or a 2 seed. And anything less than that, I'm disappointed.
What if they don't get in the playoffs because of a muffed punt by your 4th round pick?
Then that means they're a 9-win team.
I mean, the bar is high. Like that, that's enough. I'm not waiting another year. I'm not hearing any excuses from anybody in that organization, from Ryan Poles, not from Flus. And that's another thing. They win 9 games. Flus is probably gone.
Yeah.
If they're all relatively healthy and they win 8-9 games, Flus is gone, and they miss.
Well,
the
that's why they did it well, though, because I think with the addition of the offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, I think that if the offense plays well and there's still only a 9-win team, Flus is gone, but Waldron takes over, and that way your offensive coordinator is now your head coach, and you don't miss a step with your young quarterback. And that's where I think that I think Ryan Poles was smart by doing something like that.
Jeremiah says, "Is this a top 3?" Yes, is this a top 3 team in the NFL?
Top 3 team in the NFL. Why do they have to be a top 3 team to be
12-7? They don't have to be
12 and
6,
5 would be a
12 and 5.
You think that'd be a top 3 team? You think that that's going to be what better than let's talk about Kansas City? What Kansas City 11-6 last year with a really bad wide receiving core.
Yeah, and some tough losses.
Let's go to let me pull up last year's standings here. 11-6, 13-4, the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to be better with Derrick Henry, which is scary.
That's going to be a scary run game.
12-5 were the Dallas Cowboys, 11-6 were the Philadelphia Eagles, 12-5 were the Detroit Lions, 12-5 were the San Francisco 49ers. Right now, I think the Bears should be better than the Detroit Lions. Don't you?
Yeah, I mean, they for like 7.5 quarters, they beat them like a drum.
That's not what a 12-win team is. Not a top 3 team in the league right now. You're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. You're talking about the Detroit Lions. They were 12-5. The Niners were 12-5. I mean, sure, if you want to talk about being tied in 11-6, they should be somewhere around 11-6. You're telling me they're not better than the Miami Dolphins, who were 11-6 last year? They're not better than the Cleveland Browns, who were 11-6 last year. They're not better than the Los Angeles Rams, who were 10-7 last year. I mean, so they're better than all those teams. Can they win this division? Sure, because this division is going to beat itself up. You said yourself that this every team in this division could be 3-3. Now, I think that they should sweep the Vikings. I think that the Vikings might be 0-6 in this division. But I don't think that there's any reason why you can't expect this team to be 12-5 and compete for the division crown.
Megan TV, Stockholm Syndrome Bears fans have some hope, guys. Yeah, I mean, because the Bears have sort of kidnapped us. Like I said before, this Bears organization it is like a father who goes out to get a pack of smokes and doesn't come home for 20 years.
I call it BTSD every time we talk about the Bears traumatic stress disorder. Sure, you have that. You are worried about, how do the Bears, they're not going to get this right. They're going to flop again. They're going to suck again. What's going to happen when they do this and that? But you have to set your expectations here, because that's what the expectation should be.
Have fun with it. Yeah, I agree. I'd say have fun with it. It's going to be a fun year.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's a catastrophic injury.
We're in a different trajectory. Different trajectory now as a franchise with the Chicago Bears. And this trajectory is pointing straight up, because when was the last time, and we talked about this right after the draft, when was the last time that you left the Bears draft, and even though, you might have left other drafts saying, all right, I like the pick, how many times were you like, wow, this is going to be great, man? We got the right guys in the front office. We got the right guys on the coaching staff. We got the right guys that we drafted. We got the defense already in place. Like, we've got all of this stuff, and you're excited. So you need to set the bar here. The bar should be Kansas City Chiefs. The bar should be the Buffalo Bills of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
The bar should be the Los Angeles, Rams, what the Chargers were a couple years ago. It should be that. And I think that the Bears can be that. And I think that you're trajecting towards that. Yes, I do believe that this could be. And look, again, I might be right. It could be 11-6. Could be 11-6.
Just trying to manage expectations. I almost killed my dad on the way home from the golf outing on Saturday. He doesn't have much time left, Jeremiah. We need to win this year. For Christ's sake, we're not going to live forever.
And the Sox aren't going to do it for him.
No. They aren't.
So somebody's got to.
Maybe next year.
All right, man. Well, look, for radio purposes, we've got to get out of here within the next 50 seconds. So where do you have the Bears? What's your record?
I'm going to say 11-6.
Okay. 11-6. I'm going
You're
12-5. Jeremiah Murray has them at 7-10. And he's happy with 7-10 because it's a rookie quarterback. So we've got that. Doubting Thomas has them at 17-0. Because Caleb Williams is greater than Socrates, and Shanna just wants to eat edibles. So she hopes that they're mid. So that's what we got from our chat today. Thank you for everybody that chimed in today. Thank you for everybody that joined. Megan TV, Shanna, as always, Jeremiah, as always, Doubting Thomas, as always. Nick Johnston was in here. We had Ryan Wright in here. Brian Salava at some point. We've had a bunch of people in the chat. So thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts for commenting. Make sure you guys like, share, do all that other stuff, because look, like I said in my post earlier, even if you guys don't want to watch, you can share it. Maybe somebody else does, and they'll enjoy what we do. But until next time, guys, same bad time, same bad channel. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies.